he just wrote a book about her. Matt Lewis is senior contributor at the Daily Caller and author of The Quotable Rogue, The Ideals of Sarah Palin in Her Own Words, which is coming out later this month. Matt, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So it seems to me that at the end of the day, all this stuff may help Sarah Palin. She's going to get you, there's going to be a much more complete image of her than perhaps the media has painted. Well, what's your take on that?
Well, I think this was actually an investigation in search of a crime, which was bizarre. But you're right, this could backfire on the people who were hoping to find scandal. This is really very consistent with what I found when I wrote my book, which is a collection of quotes, much more eloquent than even I thought. And I think that you're going to find, and look, if you went through my emails, 24,000 of them, God knows what, you might find something embarrassing, not illegal, but maybe embarrassing.
We'll check on that.
Or yours, for that matter, who knows. But I will say, look, I think that people are going to find that she's much more serious and competent than the media has portrayed her, and that's really part of the story here.
Well, look, let me say this. I'm not a fan of Sarah Palin's ideology at all, or of her as a candidate, but I'm not at all surprised at the way this is turning out, because I can tell you, I'm one of the other people who's had this done to him when I was governor. They wanted my emails and a whole bunch of stuff, and the few they pick out here and there to talk about have nothing to do with the day-to-day work of being a governor. So I'm not surprised we're seeing somebody who is running a state government, and I think that's why there may not be anything terribly interesting here, but we're going to get a more complete picture of it.
Right, and that's actually the great thing about transparency and open government at the end of the day. This is going to be unfiltered, and that's kind of the problem that Palin's had with her press. But look, this is a person who had an 88% approval rating when she was governor of Alaska. She took on the big oil companies up there, and really, you know, it's funny. If you look at the way the media portrays people, Jimmy Carter never said malaise. Al Gore never said he invented the internet. Marie Antoinette never said let him eat cake, and Sarah Palin never said I can see Russia from my front yard, from my front porch.
Two of the four I knew. Two of the four I knew. Marie Antoinette never said let him eat cake.
Apparently not.
I'm devastated. Well, you know,
apparently
there's still
the press of her day was out to get her.
Is that right? I tell you, the media has always been a conspiracy. There is a lot of stuff still to go through, and so I don't think we should be drawing conclusions too quickly here, but I think the reality is what we're seeing is somebody who was engaged in her job, and to a certain extent the caricature of her may have been unfair, but the problem she has, and I just got to push back a little bit, the objection to Sarah Palin among many people now is not that they think there was scandal or truth. No, nobody cares about that. What I think they don't have the sense of is whether she has the substantive grip and the depth of knowledge about the issue of President of the United States. And that issue is still the one she has to overcome. Now, I don't think these emails will bear on that, but you've written a book about her. Do you disagree with that perspective?
I think that there is something to that. I think there are really three things to look at. I mean, number one, by the time Barack Obama was running for president and engaged seriously, he had been in like 18 or 19 debates against Hillary Clinton. Sarah Palin was actually airdropped, and you know, being governor of a small state, I mean not geographically, but population-wise, into the middle, into the heat of a campaign. She had some stumbles. I think that really sort of, you know, the press got to her. They were able to define her early. I will say this though: read the book, read what she actually says. More eloquent than you think. I actually think some of this, not all of it, but some of this, is a product of the way she talks, of part of it being a lady, but part of it being from Alaska. Most of us, we're from, you know, we live in D.C. or New York. Most politicians learn to talk like people from D.C. or New York. Palin said, I'm not going to do that.
Look, I think there is an opportunity that she will have, if she does decide to run, to jump in, redefine herself. The public will give her a second look and determine whether or not she now passes muster on these very, you know, a rather high bar that should be set for somebody running for the presidency.
And you got the movie coming out.
And if full court press on the media for Sarah Palin. All right. Matt Lewis, thanks so much for joining us.